You cannot get to the end of this book without changing your view of all the people central to Prince Harry's life. But it's incredibly intimate, it's incredibly personal, and for the first time, Prince Harry is telling his own story. He's had to live with the fact that the tabloids have told his story for the whole of his life, with no say-so from him. And he's putting it all out there.
And
It's
he's
a
getting
fascinating read. It's so hard to know day one sales, but anything over 200,000 would be good, would be amazing. But to sell 400,000, in fact, I've just bumped into my sales director on my way into the office, and that was a figure that we knew up till 4 o'clock. It went up considerably after that. So we're very happy.
What's it now? What's the number now? Can you say it?
I don't know exactly, but closer to 450, maybe 500. We need to do a lot of tallying up across formats, but it's wonderful.
So this has come out in a massive raft of publicity. There were leaks, there have been all of this coverage, and some people have said, we had Giles Corrin saying earlier, that this must have damaged the sales. Tell us what you made of the 2 weeks ahead of publication, all the stories. Is this just, were you just sitting there rubbing your hands thinking the more people are talking about it, the more people are going to buy the book?
It was really hard to know. I think that all of the leaks are going to end up being neutral to maybe good. They were absolutely not planned. I'm so thrilled that we got all the way through to last Thursday until it was leaked. We were really worried. I was on standby the whole of Christmas, the Christmas break, thinking any day now there'll be a leak somewhere, because it's been published in so many countries around the world. So the fact we got to Thursday without a leak is astounding, actually. And yes, it gave us loads of headlines. What it did do was fill it the book of some of the news bombs. But I promise you this, the book, Spare, is so much more than the sum of its parts. It needs to be read. So the news stories are big, but actually they're not the most interesting things about the book. It's a very poignant story. It's a very sad story in many ways, but it's incredibly intimate. It's incredibly personal. And for the first time, Prince Harry is telling his own story. He's had to live with the fact that the tabloids have told his story for the whole of his life, with no say-so from him. And he's putting it all out there.
And
it's a fascinating read. You know, he's got the whole, he's only, as I think A.M. Wilson said, it's only half a life. You know, he's a young man. But I tell you this, by the end of the book, you just wish him and his family happiness and peace. And I think this will give him a lot of peace.
Well,
in fact, he's said his story in his own words for the first time.
Welcome to C News, your trusted source for uncovering the untold stories and delivering the hottest headlines. Today, we dive deep into Spare, the controversial memoir by Prince Harry that shook the royal family to its core. From jaw-dropping revelations about his relationship with Prince William to his heart-wrenching recount of losing Princess Diana, this book offers a rare glimpse behind the palace gate. If you love hearing the truth about the world's most famous family, you're in the right place. At C News, we don't just report the news, we dissect it, analyze it, and bring you the context behind the headlines. Whether it's royal drama, global events, or the latest trending topics, we cover it all with sharp commentary and exclusive insight. And let's face it, who doesn't love a little royalty? This isn't just a story about Prince Harry, it's a conversation about family, identity, and breaking free from tradition. If you're passionate about staying informed and entertained, hit that subscribe button and join the C News community today. We're here to bring you the stories that matter, spark discussion, and keep you ahead of the curve. Don't miss out, let's explore the world together, one story at a time. When Prince Harry announced his memoir, Spare, the world braced itself for bombshell revelations. The book, released in January 2023, delivered exactly that, and more. With its record-breaking sales, it didn't just captivate readers, it ignited global debates about the monarchy, family dynamics, and personal freedom. But what makes Spare such a monumental piece of royal history? Let's break it down. The meaning behind Spare, the title, Spare, speaks volumes. It reflects the age-old royal concept of an heir and a spare, where one sibling is groomed for the throne, while the other is, well, a backup. For Prince Harry, this label shaped much of his life. From the very beginning, he felt like an afterthought in the royal narrative. Harry's account of being sidelined and undervalued sets the tone for the book. He shares how this dynamic fueled his struggles with identity, his role within the family, and his decision to ultimately step away. The memoir is more than a tell-all, it's Harry reclaiming his story, one page at a time. A Childhood Under the Microscope, Harry takes readers back to his early years, growing up as the youngest son of Prince Charles and Princess Diana. He describes the unique pressures of being born into a world of cameras and expectations. However, the most poignant section is his recounting of Diana's tragic death. Harry was just 12 years old when his mother passed away. He details how the grief consumed him and how the royal family's stiff upper lip approach left him feeling isolated. In one particularly raw moment, he recalls walking behind Diana's coffin, a memory that still haunts him. According to Harry, he wasn't just mourning his mother, he was also grappling with the crushing weight of public scrutiny. The royal family drama unveiled. One of the most explosive parts of Spare is Harry's candid portrayal of his relationships with other royals, especially Prince William and King Charles. While the world has always seen William and Harry as the Fab Two, Harry reveals a much more complex relationship. He recounts a physical altercation with William, where tensions over Meghan Markle boiled over into violence. Harry says William called Meghan difficult and rude, which led to a heated argument. The fight ended with Harry being knocked to the floor, a moment he describes with both shock and sadness. Harry also touches on his strained relationship with his father, King Charles. While he acknowledges Charles's efforts to support him, he paints a picture of a man deeply tied to royal traditions, often at the expense of his son's emotional well-being. Love, media, and Megxit. A significant portion of the book focuses on Harry's relationship with Meghan Markle and the decision to leave royal life. He shares how their love story was overshadowed by relentless media attacks, many of which were fueled by racism and misinformation. The couple's struggles with mental health are laid bare, including Meghan's suicidal thoughts during her time as a working royal. Harry's frustration with the palace's unwillingness to protect Meghan is palpable. He describes their decision to step back as one of survival, not just for their family but for their mental health, military service and personal growth. Harry's time in the military is another central theme of the book. He writes about his deployments in Afghanistan, where he served as a helicopter pilot. These experiences gave him purpose and an escape from royal life, but they also brought controversy. Harry's admission that he killed 25 Taliban fighters drew sharp criticism. While some saw it as a soldier's reality, others felt it was an unnecessary disclosure that risked lives. Regardless, Harry's military service remains a defining chapter in his journey of self-discovery. Critics versus supporters. Unsurprisingly, Spare divided public opinion. Supporters praised Harry's bravery for speaking out about mental health, racism, and familial dysfunction. They saw him as a man breaking free from a system that often stifled individuality. Critics, however, accused Harry of betraying his family and using private matters for financial gain. Many questioned the wisdom of airing grievances so publicly, especially given his calls for privacy. Despite the backlash, Spare became a publishing sensation, selling over 1.4 million copies in its first day. It's clear that Harry's story struck a chord with readers around the world. The legacy of Spare. So, what's the lasting impact of Spare? For Harry, it's a declaration of independence. He's no longer just the Spare prince, he's a husband, father, and advocate for causes he cares about. The book also forces the royal family to confront uncomfortable truths about its structure and traditions. For readers, Spare is more than a memoir. It's a window into the complexities of royal life, a reminder that even those born into privilege are not immune to pain and struggle. Love him or hate him, Prince Harry's story is a powerful example of what happens when someone dares to rewrite their narrative, and that's the story of Spare, a book that's as polarizing as it is unforgettable. What do you think about Harry's revelations? Did he go too far, or is he simply telling his truth? Let us know in the comments below. The unseen struggles of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, brought to light the deep injustices he and Meghan Markle endured within the royal family and beyond. The book revealed the systemic challenges they faced, from blatant favoritism within the monarchy to the relentless scrutiny of the British media. As the Spare, Harry was often sidelined, treated as an afterthought while his elder brother, Prince William, was groomed for the throne. This dynamic, which played out publicly and privately, set the stage for years of emotional strain and feelings of inadequacy. Meghan's entry into the family only heightened these tensions, as she faced racism, sexism, and a lack of support that highlighted the institution's outdated practices. One of the most glaring injustices was the royal family's failure to defend Meghan against a torrent of media abuse. From the moment their relationship became public, Meghan was subjected to racially charged headlines and invasive coverage. Despite Harry's repeated pleas, the palace refused to issue statements to counter false narratives. This silence, Harry revealed, was not neutrality but a calculated decision to protect others at Meghan's expense. The institution's unwillingness to shield her from the media onslaught left the couple isolated and vulnerable, forcing them to endure a barrage of misinformation and hate. Harry also detailed the deeply personal cost of the monarchy's rigid hierarchy. The couple's mental health struggles were dismissed or ignored, with Meghan's suicidal thoughts being met with indifference by palace officials. She was reportedly told that seeking professional help would reflect poorly on the institution, further emphasizing the lack of humanity in prioritizing royal image over individual well-being. For Harry, this mirrored his own struggles growing up in a family where emotions were often suppressed, and mental health issues were stigmatized. The financial and security injustices also stood out as shocking revelations. When Harry and Meghan decided to step back as senior royals, their security detail was abruptly cut off, leaving them and the young son, Archie, exposed to credible threats. Despite Harry's military service and Meghan's high-profile status, the family was left to fend for themselves. This lack of protection, particularly in light of the media's role in inciting hatred against Meghan, underscored the institution's disregard for their safety and well-being. Ultimately, Spare paints a troubling picture of how an institution steeped in tradition failed to adapt to modern values of inclusivity and compassion. It sheds light on the cost of loyalty to a system that prioritizes optics over people. For Harry and Meghan, their story is not just about royal drama, it's a call to examine how outdated structures perpetuate inequality and harm. The journey highlights the importance of breaking free from toxic systems, even when doing so comes at a personal and public cost.